How ancestral traits shape family trees over generations. To solve the problem, we propose TreeEval, a visual analysis tool that allows users to effectively generate and verify hypotheses for multi-generational studies. TreeEval consists of 3 panels, including a flow panel, a detail panel, and an analysis panel. The flow panel organizes thousands of family trees based on growth and continuity. To be specific, given 4 family trees as input, note that all trees have at least 2 generations. We first select subtrees with top 2 generations of all trees and form the first Sankey nodes. Then, for trees with at least 3 generations, we select subtrees with top 3 generations and put them into the second Sankey node. Finally, we form the third Sankey node in a similar way. Note that 3/4 trees of the first Sankey node are shared with the second Sankey node. We draw a gray flow between them. Similarly, we draw a flow between the second and third Sankey node. Now each Sankey node contains a set of subtrees with the same depth. We first simplify each tree as a pixel line and align them side by side. Then, we encode the color of each pixel line to structural feature of the family tree. Here, we map the inclination to a diverging color scheme, for example, blue to red. Finally, we sort these compactly aligned pixel lines according to the structural features. The detail panel shows a set of rectangle groups representing detailed composition of selected Sankey nodes in the flow panel. The analysis panel illustrates analytical results calculated by a multinomial logic model, that is, predicted probabilities and marginal effects. Now let's start to explore a real-world dataset containing 54,128 family trees. First, we set the scale to absolute and sort family trees by inclination in the flow panel. We observe that the white area in each Sankey node, which refers to the frequency of balanced family trees, decreases each generation. To discover whether the proportion of balanced trees also decreases across generations, we set the scale to percentage and observe that the white area decreases when the number of generations increases. This implies that in order to make the family last many generations, it is probably hard to keep the entire tree structure developed in balance without strategies of differential investment. To further understand how inclination affects the growth of family trees, we partition each Sankey node into 3 groups, for example of which inclination to the left, middle, and right. Then we observe that family trees with inclination to the left and right are more likely to keep inclination starting with the 3rd generation, as indicated by the gray flow connecting 2 generations. To get an intuitive understanding of how family trees look like in each Sankey node, we click the Sankey node filled with blue gradient color on the second row, where all family trees have inclination to the left. Then, detailed structures of these trees are illustrated in the detail panel. To check an extreme case of inclination to the left, we select the top left pixel in this panel, which has the darkest background color. Then, the rectangle expands to show more details of the tree structure. Next, with an interest in the influence of birth order preference, we decide to investigate the association between life history traits of the founder and the inclination of family trees. To look for long-term influence across multiple generations, we select 3 Sankey nodes at the 6th level, that is, 1 containing all trees with inclination to the left, 1 with all balanced trees, and 1 containing all trees with inclination to the right. Then, we click Regression to run multinomial logic model based on our selection. From a diagram in the analysis panel with the title Number of Sons, we observe that when the funder has more than 4 sons, the orange curve, including the confidence interval area, overlapped with the purple curve and its confidence interval. We can infer when the initial family is big, that is, more than 4 sons, and probably rich, they may have different strategies and easily diversify growth in later generations. On the contrary, that the long-term influence of the birth order preference is stronger when the family is small at the beginning, that is, the founder has no more than 4 sons.